Need more ammo! Jammer on the way! Got them!
System malfunctioning. System restored.
Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today we're back with another build video. This one is going to be for PvE specifically, and most importantly for the raid. That clip at the beginning was me going through a heroic landmark in the DZ just to get a sense of how it works, but this thing really excels in the raid. Now it is a hybrid build, so you won't be dealing the absolute most damage. However, it does utilize a really nice heal that not only keeps you alive, but your teammates as well. After I show off the build, I'm going to play some raid footage at the end so you guys can see this thing in action, and you'll note just how much I'm able to keep some of my teammates alive, as well as dish out a considerable amount of damage. It's pretty nice. I had some requests to do a raid build video prior to the Foundry launching, so here it is. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's a very good entry-level build that can be very dynamic and fill a lot of roles within a team comp, so if you're looking to get into the raiding scene, this one can definitely help you out. With that being said, let's get right into the build. So let's just get right into it. Starting with my primary, I am using the Eagle Bear, and I would definitely recommend using an AR on this build instead of something like an SMG or something like that. But of course, if you don't have the Eagle Bear, then you can of course use, I'd probably recommend like a Police M4, something like that. And for the talent, maybe something like Strained or Reformed, either to improve your damage or healing, whichever you prefer. So yeah, definitely run that. For my secondary, of course, I have the classic M1A, the Baker's Dozen. They have, as of the making of this video, have reverted the nerf, so I would definitely recommend using this until that update comes out in June, where they're going to rebalance some of the other weapons and this as well. But for now, definitely use that because it's a top tier gun, pretty much the best in the game. For my sidearm, I'm using pretty much same on every build, just a backup boomstick with preservation. Pretty much run whatever you want. I just do that so I get a little bit of healing in case I end up pulling it out and killing an enemy with it. For my mask, I am using the Exotic Coyotes mask. I would pretty much recommend using this. It definitely helps you out, get a lot of damage with all the crit. If we go over to my stats on my Eagle Bear, I'm getting almost 40% crit chance and 100% crit damage. I wouldn't recommend going super high into crit chance above like 40% because not only could you surpass the cap with this mask, if you get the highest range bonus, you're already going 5% over the cap of crit chance. But in a raid, you're most likely going to get at least one other or probably two other people using the mask, in which case you're already, 15% over the cap because you can get all three of the bonuses at the same time. So 40% is plenty. If you're going strictly solo and you're just going to use this for like DZ and stuff, you could go higher. But if you're planning on using this for the raid like it's pretty much intended for, I would recommend not going above 40% crit chance because then you're really just wasting those slots that you could put more into crit damage, which doesn't have a cap. So I would keep it at 40. But yes, Coyotes Mask here, and I would recommend you use that unless you already know everyone on your team is using it, in which case you could swap it out. But yeah, Coyotes Mask there. For the chest piece, we have one piece Alps because I am putting a lot into healing on this build. The Chem Launcher really keeps me alive and my teammates as well, so I would recommend using one piece Alps. I have one skill tier, Repair Skills, Crit Damage, and a Repair Skills mod with Unbreakable. Don't have to run Unbreakable, but it's definitely very nice for survivability. I don't think there's another talent on here that's super worth unless you were doing Spotter, but I don't really recommend using the Technician with this, so I would say Unbreakable, and these rules on there too. For the holster, I'm using 2 pieces of Providence total on the build, which gives me headshot damage and crit chance. Now on this, I have maxed weapon damage, maxed repair skills, and 5.5 crit chance. This is the only spot on gear, except for the mask, that I have crit chance rolled. And so if I had the watch maxed out, because right now my watch is only at 2% crit chance, so if I had the watch maxed out, I would drop the crit chance on the holster and go into crit damage there. But of course I don't, so I only have the 40% total. But if you had your watch maxed out in crit chance, then I would recommend crit damage there, but otherwise keep it at that. Okay, for the backpack, this is the one piece out of the whole build that I do not have set up the way that I want it. I have the right rules. This backpack is perfect, but it is 511, which is only giving me 10% health. What I would rather run, and I have one down here, is a Hana U backpack, because what that's going to give you is 10% skill haste, which not only helps your chem launcher, but you also get a red mod slot, which is a bit more applicable to what the build is centered around. This gives you protection from elites, which is obviously very nice in things like the raid to help with your survivability, but the red mod slot, you can just spec more into crit damage and keep upping your damage. And so the only reason I'm not using this now to show off on the build is because I pretty much need to get it exactly right for it to be correct, because this backpack is the only spot in the build where I have my 1 armor roll, and I would highly recommend you have 1 armor roll on this build. I tried doing Razorback specifically with this Hana U backpack and not having a blue, and I was just getting shredded. I think the 1 armor roll really helps you out with being able to stay alive, so you can dip into cover and then use your healing to get you back up. And yeah, definitely if you have a Hana U that has armor, skill repair, crit damage, and then concussion as the talent, I would use that. I am using concussion on here. And the reason I use that over Unstoppable Force is because in things like the raid, you don't always have those setup kills that you can just get one after another to build that up to 5. If you're going into the Dark Zone, then Unstoppable Force is definitely worthwhile because you can get those quick kills in a row, but concussion is just better all around in my opinion. And it works really well if you do have the Eagle Bear, because it basically makes it just like it was during year 1, where you get damage and you get all the tenacity stuff. So if you have a Hana U backpack, then get that with armor, repair skills, crit damage, a crit damage mod slot, and then concussion. But if you don't, then just try and do something else that works. That's what I would be using if I did have it, but for now I just have this 511 that's set up perfect except for that brand bonus. Moving on to the gloves, we have my second piece of Providence, which is giving me that brand bonus, and then I have weapon damage, crit damage, and repair skills, just like the other. And then for my knee pads, I have my one piece of Fenris, which you definitely need somewhere on here to give you that 10% AR damage, and I've maxed out weapon damage, repair skills, and crit damage. Moving on to my skills, let's take a look at what my healing actually gets me. So on the chem launcher, I do have 5 chargers, don't know why it says 4 there, and I'm getting 107,000 per tick on my heal. And that's very nice, that is in PVE. So if you do use this in the Dark Zone, your heal will be a bit lower, but you have spec'd into it so much on the rest of the build that it will definitely help it out, and you will still get some healing in the DZ. But in the raid, this one charge of the chem launcher pretty much restores, if I were at 0 armor, it would pretty much restore close to like 75% of my armor total. And that's super nice. And then when you shoot at an ally, you can see I'm getting 600,000 proc on them. If you didn't know, that's a functionality the chem launcher has. It could do an insane burst heal on your allies. I actually did a video on that recently, so I'll link it at the top if you want to go check that out. But running this can really not only heal you up and keep you alive, but your teammates as well. And you'll see that in the footage at the end. I use this to my advantage and my teammates' advantage a lot during the raid. Moving on to my other skill, I'm just running a Reviver Hive, which is pretty much a staple in the raid. You can run a Jammer if you're on Razor and you take care of the drones and all that, but I would recommend in general you run the Reviver Hive. If you wanted to run dual heal, you could, but I think this is really nice, just so that if you do go down, not everyone is having to rush to you, you can pick yourself up. And if a teammate goes down, you can just toss this over to them and get them up right away without having to wait the revive timer. The last thing I wanted to touch on is my specialization itself. I do definitely recommend you do the Survivalist to get the crossbow. There is a solid argument to be made to use Technician, because that gives you the extra skill tier as well as 10% skill healing, which would give you 30% healing increase total on your chem launcher. But the Survivalist is just a lot better for PvE specifically, in my opinion. Not only does it give you the crossbow, which I think is a better weapon for, because obviously on Razor you can't get those panels with the rocket, you have to use a crossbow. I think it's just a little bit more flexible in what you can use the weapon for, but that's not even the biggest part. You get protection from elites on the tree, you also get the fire nade, which I think is more applicable to more general PvE. The EMPs are really nice against the Black Tusk, but for the upcoming Foundry raid, it's going to be the True Sens, and they don't really have any electronics that they use. They are purely troops, and that's what the fire nade is good at taking out, so you get that, and you also get the medkit, which is a lot better than the Technician one, because not only is it a heal over time, which is pretty much statistically better for yourself, but you also can heal up your teammates with it if they're within 20 meters of you. So since you're running the support variant and you have a chem launcher that heals a lot, having that medkit will just help you keep everyone alive a bit better and yourself alive, so you can keep sustained dealing more damage. Okay guys, well that is the build. I hope you all enjoyed, and hopefully this can help you out in aiding your team to victory in the raid and PvE in general. It probably wouldn't be the best for Legendary, but like you saw at the beginning, it can also solo clear heroic landmarks in the DZ and carry you through a lot of PvE content in the game. It may be a good idea to have some more specialized builds in your loadout for when the Foundry drops, since we don't know what the mechanics will be, but this is a great starting point and a staple to keep in your roster. That's going to be all for today guys. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with the notifications on on so it can be updated every time I upload. Let me know down below in the comments if you have any thoughts or questions about the build, and tell me what kind of builds you're making to prepare for the Foundry. I'd love to hear them. Until the next one, guys, RogueGold, out.
High-tech defensive system. Put it out of commission.
Defense system node disabled. Defense system node disabled.
Check this shit out!
System reactivated.
Move it! Repair modules out of commission! Stand up, down! Focus on those mounted weapons!
Region down.
Here's the module!
Defense system reactivating.
Damage defensive module! On me, now! Take the module back online! Take it!
Defense system reactivation aborted. Defense system disabled.
They disabled the repair module! They got the defensive module! They took out the repair module! Yeah! Cover me!
Defense system reactivating. Defense system reactivation aborted.
Get him up.
Defense system disabled.
Repair module is working! Repair module is down!
Immediate medical assistance needed.
Get out of play. Get around this.
Repair module back online!
Defense system reactivating. Defense system reactivation aborted. Defense system disabled. An agent needs toxic gas detected.
Deploy Razorback. I'm going to check on Dawson and Carter.
Kill these fuckers!
Toxicity at critical levels. Toxicity at critical levels.
Switching again!
Agent down.